Ladies and gentlemen, it is day number 12 of the ongoing government shutdown, and Vice President J.D. Vance has just broken his silence to absolutely torch Chuck Schumer and the Democrats. Now, as you all know, because of this Democrat-manufactured shutdown, President Trump has been forced to start making cuts within the federal government, yesterday, in fact, firing over 4,000 unnecessary radical progressives that were on the federal government's payroll. And so as it relates to all of that, take a listen to what Vice President J.D. Vance had to say just earlier this morning.
Wouldn't it be great if the Democrats just opened up the government so that we did not have to make these very difficult decisions? You hear a lot of Senate Democrats say, well, how can Donald Trump possibly lay off all of these federal workers? Well, the Democrats have given us a choice between giving low-income women their food benefits and paying our troops on the one hand, and on the other hand, paying federal bureaucrats. Well, given that choice, we're going to choose low-income women. We're going to choose our troops. That is the choice the Democrats have given us. I would really appreciate if they gave us a different choice. The country would be better off for it.
And so all of you know, when the federal government is shut down, not only are numerous essential services also shut down, but our active duty military personnel aren't even getting paid. That being said, the Trump administration has put together a plan to keep all of these people taken care of. Take a look.
Well, the plan is that when you're in a shutdown, and we're in the shutdown, of course, because Schumer and the Democrats shut down the government because they were trying to force us to give health care benefits to illegal aliens. And now that we're in this shutdown, we're trying to figure out how to ensure that as many Americans receive essential services as possible. We're doing a lot to ensure that low-income women and children get their food benefits. We're trying to make sure that flood insurance and other insurance programs don't disappear during the height of hurricane season. But we're also, Maria, doing some pretty non-conventional things, as President Trump often does, to ensure that our troops are able to get paid. We are confident we've identified the legal pathways in order to do this, but it's really important for the President of the United States. Even though Schumer has shut down the government, he doesn't want our troops to suffer because of it. Of course, he doesn't want our national security to suffer because of it either.
And honestly, folks, that is really the proper way to look at all of this. The reality is, Chuck Schumer's manufactured government shutdown has really created a colossal national security threat. In various ways, Schumer's partisan antics have weakened our nation and made us more vulnerable, and that is just the undeniable truth. Now, speaking of Senator Chuck Schumer, take a listen to what House Speaker Mike Johnson had to say about him just a couple of hours ago.
Chuck Schumer is incapable of telling the truth right now. I mean, he's been in Congress for 44 years, Shannon. I mean, almost half a century. He knows this is basic civics. Every 8th grade civics student can point out the fallacy in what he just said. It requires 60 votes in the Senate to get this through. We only have 53 Republicans. We've got to have a handful of Democrats in the Senate who apply common sense and agree to reopen the government so that we can continue all these discussions. As you pointed out to Hakeem Jeffries, this is a clean continuing resolution. What that means for folks back home is it's exactly the same levels of spending. By the way, it's Biden-era policies and spending, which we loathe. But we're trying to get through the appropriations process to change that and fix it for the country, and they ran out of time because the end of the fiscal year, September 30th, we just need 7 more weeks to finish it. And right now they're eating up the clock. They're doing this for political cover. Chuck Schumer, when he voted for the exact same measure back in March, took a lot of heat from the left of his party, and he doesn't want to sustain that any longer. So he's doing this and inflicting pain for his own selfish reasons.
And of course, as we all know very well, the only reason why Senator Chuck Schumer has really shut down the federal government is because he's scared of getting primaried by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in New York State. But now, folks, take a listen to what Vice President J.D. Vance had to say about all of these federal firings. And by the way, I think you guys are going to like this next clip.
The longer it goes on, Maria, the more significant they're going to be. If you remember, we went 9 days before announcing any significant layoffs. Again, the President of the United States wanted to reopen the government. He was trying to work with Democrats in order to make that happen. But the longer this goes on, the deeper the cuts are going to be. And Maria, to be clear, some of these cuts are going to be painful. This is not a situation that we relish. This is not something that we're looking forward to. But the Democrats have dealt us a pretty difficult set of cards. We're trying to do the best that we can with the shutdown situation that Chuck Schumer has left us.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, here's just the cold hard reality. Now that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have decided to weaponize the federal government and manufacture this shutdown, It makes total sense for President Trump to seize the opportunity and start firing all of these deep state swamp beasts that have been undermining and subverting the America First agenda. And for some more information regarding all of these federal firings, take a look at this.
The main thing that we're focused on, Margaret, is ensuring essential services remain open. And obviously, in a government shutdown, we have limited funds to work with because the appropriations that keep the government running have not been made. That's thanks to Chuck Schumer and the Democrats. So we're trying to do everything that we can to ensure that low-income women and children get the food services that they need. We're trying to make sure that we pay our troops because that matters for national security. We also want our people to get their paychecks. That's where we've been focused. And unfortunately, what that does mean, Margaret, is that some federal bureaucrats are going to have to get laid off. This is not a situation that we're excited about. We want the government to reopen, but Chuck Schumer and the Democrats decided to shut down the government, and we have to deal with the consequences in the administration, so that's what we're doing.
And so, folks, let's just set the record straight real quick. This is what real leadership actually looks like. When push comes to shove, in this case, when the Democrats shut down the federal government, all of America's most vulnerable citizens are still getting taken care of, and most importantly, we're not forcing our veterans to go without pay, which is, by the way, exactly what Senator Chuck Schumer and the Democrats had wanted. But now, there's something else that I want you all to take a look at here. You see, one of Chuck Schumer's top guys, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, actually made a media appearance just earlier this morning, during which he actually tried to defend the ongoing shutdown. And I'll tell you what, much to absolutely no one's surprise, he came off looking like a complete and total idiot. Take a look.
Well, first of all, we don't view the current bill as anything other than a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the healthcare of the American people.
It's at levels that you guys have already agreed to. A number of Democrats voted for this extension back in March. It's not adding or detracting anything. It's just continuing the levels of spending that currently exist.
Actually, it's not at levels that we agreed to. Democrats strongly oppose this legislation in the House because, in our view, it gut veterans' health care, gut funding for women, infants, and children programming, gut funding for affordable housing, and we know we have a housing crisis in this country. Housing costs are too high. Just to be clear, though, it's not changing current. It's not changing current levels. Nothing's getting cut. It's at levels that you may not like, but it's about extending levels as they currently exist. Fair? Right. We agree that current spending levels are unacceptable.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's just quickly set the record straight here. This budget that the Democrats have now voted against 8 times in the last 2 weeks was actually originally drafted up back in March of 2024 by none other than Joe Biden and all of the congressional Democrats. So to be very clear, this budget that now they all absolutely hate, they themselves originally created. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can all go ahead and completely disregard all of the ongoing far-left gaslighting, trying to blame this shutdown on Donald Trump and all of the Republicans. Really, the Democrats are just doing what they do best, which is lie through their teeth to the American people. However, with that being said, I think we can all be very thankful that President Trump is back in the White House and that now we actually have a leader that knows how to put America first.